And welcome to Outlawed Thoughts. I'm here with the normal culprits. We've got Josh Hlavka, CD McRae, and Kareem Maize. I'll let Josh go ahead and start off with the intros.
Well, howdy everyone. Josh Hlavka, state organizer for the Mises Caucus in the state of Florida, vice chair for the Libertarian Party of Florida. And thank you, Leighton, for having me again on tonight. Appreciate it.
No problem. And we have CD McRae.
Hey guys, yeah, CD. And follow me on Twitter, LADNCap. I'm the host of Whiskey and Tea. New episodes are coming. That's really exciting. That's super exciting. So in a few weeks, but yeah, and you can subscribe to that on YouTube for sure.
That's
yeah,
cool.
Lee, thanks for having me again. This is fun.
I am excited for new episodes. That is going to be interesting. I have how long has it been dormant?
Oh my gosh,
I always hate that.
2 months. As soon as we started packing, it was
I had
couldn't be. Yeah, I was like, got to get to Austin. Cannot be concerned. Just we'll pod when we get there. But yeah, so now we're back into the swing of things, and I'm super excited.
Awesome. What a cast of characters. And Kareem.
Hey everybody, I'm Kareem. I am a state organizer with the Mises Caucus, also part of the Judiciary Committee for the Westmoreland County Libertarians, and super excited to talk about some cool stuff tonight.
Awesome. And I am Leighton Radner, organizer here in Alaska. All the normal, same bullshit as always. But we will hop into things. We have kind of a breaking story, about 40 minutes old here, which is kind of interesting. I've got here to pull it up. Here we go. So, Politico. Supreme Court has voted to overturn abortion rights, draft opinion shows. So, people are kind of freaking out about this. This is not regarding an actual decision that has been made currently. But we will go ahead and read into this story here to kind of get a grasp of what's going on, because it kind of just happened. But the Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, according to an initial draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito, circulated inside the court and obtained by Politico. The draft opinion is full-throated, unflinching, Shannon's gonna be laughing in the chat at that. I know it. Repudiation of the 1973 decision, which guaranteed federal constitutional protections of abortion's rights, and a subsequent 1992 decision, Planned Parenthood v. Casey, that largely maintained the right. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start, Alito writes. So I guess so. This is pretty simple logic here. Alito wrote an opinion on Roe v. Wade, which has now been circulated, obviously. I wonder how that got out. That doesn't just make its way to the public. Somebody had to, from the offices there, had to have gotten that out. But this is the actual initial draft here, which I believe I can go like this. I don't know if this scrolls with me. No. Give me one moment here and I'll share the well, we can just read this first part, I suppose. Well, yeah, so it's just an opinion piece. This is just exactly what they draft when they're making a final decision. So it looks just like a final decision from that specific judge, but it hasn't been actually filed. So it'll be interesting to see whether this means that we are moving towards a position where Alito and other people come out against it, and whether it actually gets appealed. The thing is what it actually does, right? And this has always been my problem with the abortion argument, is I just don't want government enforcement at all. Mm-hmm. And so this isn't a win for libertarians. I know there's some libertarians who are going to like this, but it isn't necessarily a win on either side from our perspective, which is, I don't know. It just makes me just kind of sit back and see how it plays out, I guess. I know that sounds fucked, but I guess what is your guys' a reaction to, I guess, the thought that could happen, I suppose, is the real question. What do you think the reaction would be within states to it being repealed?
Well, the red states are obviously going to probably be in favor. The blue states are not, and rural and city areas are going to be respectively so. My big question, actually,
culture and decay brings up a good point there.
In a sense, it shakes the cultural foundations. Kind of disappointed out of all the football issues. Abortion got the big shift.
It would have been nicer to see it in some kind of economic field. Rather than this horse shit.
So with this and the medical procedures the establishment wants you to take and policing and everything else, my question is this, and I brought this up to people. Now, classical liberals are going to say something different, but why in the world, in a country of 330 million people, do you have 12 people in robes, regardless if you think they're really good at deciding stuff or not? Some of them I think are okay, like Clarence Thomas. Some of them, like Sotomayor, don't know what's going on. I think that's fair to say from previous decisions. Why, even if they're the most well-intentioned people, do we have 12 justices making decisions for 330 million people? To me, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying that you can't have some arbitration like city council or your village elder or some small town, local, whatever you want to call it. But I think this is kind of, even a guy being pro-life, I don't want that kind of centralized power.
Right, that's where I'm at, because I consider myself to be personally pro-life. I don't have like super strong beliefs on it. For me, it's always been from like a moralistic kind of point of view, and I didn't really care about anything else. I'm not really overly religious, so that doesn't play into it. It's just more of a morals, ethics, kind of how I look at my own thought processes. So that's, but and I used to not be. Like, when I was more on the left of things, I mean, obviously that was not my opinion. And I'd almost argue that was one of the things that swapped me going down more a conservative angle and then eventually to libertarianism, was a combination of like me realizing that I wasn't really into the whole abortion thing in general. I didn't really care about the other, the religious angle talks about like condoms. They talk about other shit like that I don't give a fuck about. I don't care how you stop the pregnancy from taking place. That doesn't concern me in the slightest. I was just like, from a non-aggression principle standpoint, I was like, I don't really know if I can get past this. And then when I started reading a lot of other like libertarian thinkers, it came to me that I was like, well, the conservatives aren't really right or good on this either. Like, the issue on the conservative side has always been more about, less about bodily autonomy and things like that, and more about just restrictions. And that doesn't seem, obviously we don't agree with that. So
no, well, they're conservatives who. Here's the crazy thing: they're people on the left. I think this should be the libertarian position if there is one. They're conservatives who want to make it a crime. I say no. The police already arrest people for enough.
Yeah, that is off the table in my opinion.
But the left wants to fund it, and I say no. If you want to fund it, if you want to put all your money, your whole check in Planned Parenthood, you go right ahead. But don't expect me to fund it because I don't morally agree with it. Unless it's like, okay, your doctor says this is the only option, then fine. But my point is, let's not fund it through the state. But let's also not make it a crime, and let's not have 12 robe.
And Shannon brings up an angle that I've heard said by many libertarians on my side of the fence, which is personally pro-life but pro-choice in action, and I think that works if you don't get into the theory of it and kind of that side of it as much, because once you do that, you kind of can't separate it, in my opinion. Like, I can't separate the whole point of the non-aggression principle and the way that it applies. Now, I know we could say, well, you can tweak that and you can change it, and there's religious annotations that change it, obviously, things like that. Like, for instance, Shannon being Catholic, things like that, which can alter those decisions. So I think those have to be respected, right? Like, we can't obviously make a ruling from a Supreme Court level that says, well, only these people can have abortions and these people can't, which kind of feels like how the left wants this to be decided. Like, they want religious groups to have authority over whether they can have abortions or not, but they want the general populace to be able to get them whenever, because a lot of the bills that they've pushed forward have exemptions for things like religious upbringings and involvements, and that doesn't make any sense to me from like a principle standpoint. Obviously, I argue that the public funding of abortion on demand for non-medical reasons or lifestyle reasons has distorted the debate. Yeah, so that's exactly right. So like, when you have the government funding abortion with taxpayer money, which is what happens, from an ethical standpoint, half the country thinks that you are quite literally paying to murder people. Like, in not only that, but like in the millions. And it's like, hey, we should not do that. I met a guy when I was at one of the YAL events in Florida who was against fucking cutting dicks off. My people do it. All the Jewy people. Circumcision. Yeah, that's the word. It was a guy who was against circumcision. I got a photo I put up on Twitter with this guy. It was great. He's a young kid. He was a couple years younger than me. And he had this shirt that said, circumcision is rape, I think is what his shirt said. It was pretty fucking hilarious. But this guy was like, he was hardcore against circumcision because he's like, the kid can't consent to it. It's mutilation. Yep. There's no forethought in it. It's completely based off of religious things. I don't necessarily disagree with the kid. Like, he's kind of right. We've given them a pass because they're Jewy people, and also because it's a religious exemption, right? So we've decided that the government can just pass out religious exemptions like candy, rather than let us decide that as a cultural force in general, or decide that on an individual scale, you know.
What makes someone Jewy?
There's a lot of answers to that question, but in general,
usually strings and curls.
In general, yeah. So that's one answer. You could say, you could also say a brown individual with a Middle Eastern accent, because that's a good amount of Jewy people too. You could also say a white guy from New York who's like born and raised in like, so it's kind of fucking wonky, right? You can't do that with like Catholics. Like, it doesn't really work. It's stupid. But that's part of the kind of splintering of it, right? Like, that's just the spread out of the religion. I feel like Jews have positioned themselves fairly well, whereas Catholics didn't get involved in nearly enough cultural movements later on in the faith, which I think is probably on them to an extent, right? Like, you know, everybody uses the stereotype that Jews got involved in media, but it's just a fact that they got involved in cultural movements within the United States post World War II, and that put them in a much better position now as far as the strength of their religion and how many members they have and how many people they, you know, can collect from a financial standpoint, which is kind of how all these religions work to the core. I'm not against that, right? You know, I think we as libertarians should just admit, I mean, sometimes you pay financial stuff to religions because you get something out of it. Like, that's kind of the capitalist side of religion, I guess.
I guess. Here, I will say this. They should be allowed to do what they want, but if I'm like, hey, man, I'll get you eternal salvation, you just send stuff to my PayPal, you should probably call me out. Like, there is a line where I put,
to an extent, but, like, you've got to give them the money, right?
Yeah. Hey, all right. So, guys, if you give me 1 Bitcoin, I'll show you how to get eternal salvation.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to give me a Bitcoin, I'll tell them to smoke every weed for the rest of their life, or smoke weed every day for the rest of their life, and that'll give them some salvation. That, or they'll see Jesus. One of the two. It works either way.
What if they call it like Leighton? I went to Mount Sinai, nothing showing up. I want a refund.
Oh fuck me. So we're gonna watch something funny here, and this is.
Oh boy.
We've been talking about the Amber Heard trial. We've been talking about this kind of briefly. I've been on other shows talking about it. It's interesting to check in on now and again with what's been going on, mainly just because of the insanity of it. But one thing happened a day or two ago that I thought was fucking hilarious. Okay, Jimmy's doing that was hilarious, which is Amber Heard's lead lawyer literally objected to himself. And this is I've watched a lot of internet trials over the last like 3 years. I've never seen this fucking happen. And I just like the reaction of this judge is fucking priceless. But we're gonna go ahead and play this here.
You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his fingers.
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Oh.
Oh,
You don't know what caused the injury.
but you asked the question, you
You
fucking
don't know what
moron.
So
Yo, back that up. We'll play it again. That was too good not to see it a second
This is
time.
worse than
Play it again.
Rittenhouse.
You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his fingers.
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
but you asked the question.
The question.
She's just like, wait, but you asked the question. Now, I'd also like to point out, because I'm going to click play on this. These are 4 lawyers on the screen.
Who are all laughing
Who are all,
hysterically.
I mean,
Injured his finger. You don't know what caused the injury.
Idiot.
One of his fingers.
idiot.
You don't know what caused. You don't know.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, this motherfucker, so, to explain exactly what happened from a legal perspective, is dude just asked him a question, which the guy is answering, but to answer the question, he's gone into statements somebody else made to him. Now, that is hearsay, but he's allowed to say it. Because you've instigated the question to him. You have to let him finish what he's saying. And so the lawyer doesn't want him to say that. So he jumps in on the sentence and goes, objection to a question he fucking asked. Which is like, I mean, I've had to have watched 35 plus trials in the last like 2-3 years. I've never seen a lawyer object to their own question. I was like, over it, man. I lost it. I was watching this one live, which was great.
I will say this. I didn't watch this one, but I watched parts of the Rittenhouse one. Well, I'm like, man, no, you can't get any worse than this. They're like, hold my beer. I mean, granted, yeah, he didn't point a gun at anybody, so I guess he's not that bad, but maybe he did.
Yeah, so update on the trial as quick as I can would be, it looks really good for Johnny Depp. The audio footage and things like that have come out over the trial have looked really good. Amber Heard realized that she was losing. She's fired her previous PR person and hired somebody else to come in and handle thing. You know, Elon Musk is flipping the bill for the entirety of this trial for Amber Heard's defense. And so I want to kind of lead into that. I guess it kind of does lead into us talking a little bit about Elon today, because that is one of the things we're going to cover here. And then we're going to go into some stuff about Trump's possible running and some stories around that CD sent over my way. So we're going to close out of the Amber Heard video. I thought that was fucking hilarious. But yeah. So the truth is, on that regard, is that Elon Musk's legal firm management group is flipping the bill and managing the Amber Heard trial. He is not going to be speaking at this trial. Neither is a few of the other celebrities connected to the Amber Heard side of things. It appears to me that Elon probably told her, this is your like severance package, is I'm going to handle your legal payments and then you're going to fuck off. But if you know any of the conspiratorial kind of angle there, Amber Heard has a kid, which was conceived outside of her body. It was one of those deals where they like donated eggs and that bullshit. But that is rumored to be Elon Musk's child. and Amber Heard is the one who has custody of said child. So if that is true, that would be a hell of a thing that Amber Heard could hold over the head of Elon Musk. And they were previously in a long-time relationship, so who knows what it is she has seen that guy doing. But regardless of that, he has had some interesting antics on Twitter today, which I thought we kind of have to cover, and personally I thought was fucking hilarious, because I happen to like Elon for the most part. I know a lot of people have issues with him. I don't mind some of the stuff he does, and I find his sense of humor to be pretty hilarious. But we had Tom Elliott on Twitter, NBC's, I don't know what the fuck that name is, on Elon Musk. I don't know, Kareem, read that name.
Do your job, Kareem.
I don't know.
Mehdi Hassan?
I think it's Mehdi Hassan.
Mehdi Hassan. I'm going with Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan on Elon Musk. If the neo-Nazi faction of the GOP expands in November, we may look back on this as a pivotal moment when a petulant and not so bright billionaire casually bought one of the most influential managing machines and just handed it to the far right. So we will go ahead and listen to this clip a little bit. It's only a minute long.
I mean, it's easy in American discourse to talk simplistically about the far left and the far right as two equally dangerous fringe blocks. Elon Musk has done it plenty of times just in the past week. But here's the difference. America's far left wants to give us free healthcare and free childcare. America's far right wants to give us white supremacy and no democracy. And this asymmetrical polarization of US politics would be laughable if it weren't so horrifying. We are living through an unspeakably dangerous moment. The pro-QAnon, pro-neo-Nazi faction of the Republican Party is poised to expand dramatically come the midterms. We're just 2 years away from Donald Trump very possibly re-seizing executive power. If that happens, we may look back on this past week as a pivotal moment, when a petulant and not so bright billionaire casually bought one of the world's most influential messaging machines and just handed it to the far right. I'm joined now by Molly Jong-Fast, a contributing...
Okay. So, I guess, what is your reaction to this? And then we'll go ahead into Elon's reaction, which I think is pretty fucking
British
hilarious.
accent, opinion discarded.
Right.
Well, at least I...
British accent, you still live under the Queen.
Anarchy in the
Opinion
UK.
discarded. I don't want to hear about
Have you
your
ever
fucking
seen?
politics.
Have you ever seen the UK versus America memes that have gone around on TikTok
Not what I want
for the
to.
last like few
Oh my
weeks?
God,
Nope,
TikTok.
not on TikTok.
Don't.
One
Please,
second.
please, Jeremy.
No.
My
But-
friends share that all the time. I can't take
British,
it now.
British accent, opinion discarded. You're not worth shit. Your opinion, America, is worth less than nothing.
Okay,
Go
I'm gonna
back
show
and
you
look-
this.
Wait.
We're gonna
Wait.
watch this real quick. We're gonna take a brief intermission. We are going to watch this TikTok so I can show you what this fuck this is.
But
So
Korean's
it
gonna
has
get
become fun on TikTok it's become a meme to shit on British people, and it's become one of my favorite things about the platform because there's now this big movement of people making fun of British people, but these are some of the the jokes being made here. Play this.
Why is this gross British TV dinner called Toad and Hole if it's made with wieners, not fries?
Oi, cunt! Laugh it up, yeah? What is the new Call of Duty gonna be called this year? First period? Oh! Not so funny now, innit?
Can someone please tell me why all trees in the UK are locked in tiny cages? Do
Why at least our schools don't look like shooting ranges?
Why do British people build
So it's just become millennials shitting on British people for having bad teeth, but because it's just it's my favorite fucking rabbit hole on TikTok. Because that's the use of TikTok, by the way. It's not a good platform, and I only use it on my computer because then you can like search for specific things, and then you just put in like the politics hashtag, and you will lose faith in humanity. I'm gonna be doing a series on this channel I'm doing a series on the channel. It's just going to be me sitting down reacting to some of these and then breaking down what it is they're actually fucking saying. Which I know people hate that kind of content, but it is what it is. It's fun to edit.
I hate TikTok so much. Like that
Yeah,
whole
I agree.
sphere of social media. It's just every time I hear somebody, they bring me something or they want to show me something from TikTok, it just proves to me more and more that every day we stray further away from God's eternal life. Like these kids are miserable. I don't know what's wrong with them. Like weird fucking dances with like no real point. They're talking about like nonsense. Like the best are the ones where it's like, all right, you start off, you get me in the first half, and then you completely shit the bed Amber Heard style in the second half.
Does anybody? He mentioned music and jamming out on guitar, and it sidetracked my brain because I'm stoned. But has anybody heard Hank Williams Jr. has released like 2 new songs after a while, and they are awesome. They're on YouTube like right now. Everybody should go listen to that shit. It's like kind of bluesy kind of stuff. It's great. I was listening to it earlier today. It got me like, yeah, I was all pumped. I had to work last night and I wasn't supposed to, and it fucking pissed me off. I was like all depressed. Like at work, just fucking like, I don't want to be here.
Hey man, wages theft.
No, fucking eat my taint.
But,
so we will gargle my grundle.
Gargle my grundle.
Leighton, can you pull up the tweet I sent? Because this actually would go pretty good if you want to.
Where did you send it? Can you stick it in the private chat?
On Facebook, yeah, I can.
No, we have it chat on Restream. Can you just paste it in there? Because then I can just open it right from this tab.
Let me see if I can.
Survey says
anal. Oh.
Kareem, figure it out.
Kareem, work it out, man. All right, you spun the wheel, cocksucker.
Nah, I don't think that's gonna work.
He's just gonna have to get his butthole finessed. It's okay.
I will open up Facebook 1 second.
I can grab the link. Yeah, it will work. Sorry, I'm recording.
Just shoot the link into the private chat, and I can do it that way.
So, obviously, everybody knows Justin.
We still have to cover this Elon stuff, though.
Yeah, this is about Elon. Basically, I really like this.
Oh, okay. I saw this, actually. Okay, this works out perfect.
He said he wanted to piss off both sides, and I'm like, heck yeah, that's what I do every day. And Justin Amash said, if you want help, we're here to help. And I'm like, woo!
Yeah.
It was like the one tweet I liked.
So I did see this, and I was 1 second. I'm gonna share it here.
Because this is America.
There we go. You should be able to see that. I'm not sure how well because this is a Facebook photo, so it looks like shit. But Elon Musk says, for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be publicly neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally. And Justin Amash replied with, if you'd like Twitter to upset the far right and the far left equally, we libertarians are here to help. And I would agree with that sentiment. You know, I think we do battle it out equally with both sides, especially on Twitter. You can do it. Okay, so we'll jump back into this Elon story because I do want to keep talking about it. I know we watched the video, but I do want to show his reactions, and because he talks briefly about a little Ghislaine Maxwell later on in this thread. So this guy says this fruit baddie bullshit. Elon responds with NBC basically saying Republicans are Nazis, which is accurate. I mean, that's what the quote is, and the quote isn't out of context. That's what he's saying. Same org that covered up Hunter Biden laptop story had Harvey Weinstein's story early and killed it, and built Matt Lauer his rape office. Lovely people. Elon Musk just single-handedly, wrecked NBC in one tweet. I mean, he's like just receipts, because those are 3 issues that are legitimately real, you know. So he responds,
rape office.
Pope of Muscantity Muscanity, however you want to pronounce it, 35,000 followers, responds with Twitter suspends account tracking Ghislaine Maxwell trial and starts talking about this issue that Elon Musk is with Ghislaine Maxwell. He responds with, where is their client list? Shouldn't at least one of them go down? And this person responds with, let's start with you. And responds with a photo that I think has been passed around by a lot of people on Twitter. And we're going to talk about this photo in a minute, but he responds with, that's a Vanity Fair party, and she photobombed me in the background. But you know what already? You know that already. And then he says, somebody responds with, Elon doesn't know Ghislaine Maxwell at all. She photobombed him once at a Vanity Fair party in 2014. Real question is, why Vanity Fair invited her in the first place? And Elon Musk responds with, that is exactly the question. And this brings up a greater question, which is this connection that the right, and I think a lot of the trolly individuals on the internet have ran with, which is this idea that Elon Musk is connected to Ghislaine Maxwell. And I have stated publicly on Twitter that I disagree with this, specifically because of the cadence of the photo, everything involved, his public statements about the topic, and other people's public statements about the topic. You couldn't say a more real fucking statement. If there's ever been a guy that needs to surround himself with some of the most bad, I don't care if it's Mossad, I don't care who you gotta hire to put around you, hire some something another that can hire an army. Like, if there was anybody who needed to travel with a fucking army, it was Elon Musk. But I think he may have solved that problem, which is, from what we understand from Elon's private life, he lives very minimalistically, very secluded, very, I think he lives in like a $50,000 Tesla tiny house. So from what I understand, he lives in a very small enclosed area. I think that's probably on purpose, right? What's the biggest mistake that every rich and powerful giant person has always made historically? They surround themselves with a bunch of fucking people. They stay super connected to all of them. I think he's done a good job doing the opposite. You don't see Elon Musk going to all these parties and hanging out with a bunch of people. He's a very closeted, away from himself person. The longest conversations we've seen Elon Musk ever have has been with podcasts with his own personal friends. So it seems he knows how to handle himself in the public light with these people, I think, better than people give him credit for. And I don't think he's as scummy as people call him out for being either. I think the guy took loans from the government, because every other business takes loans from the fucking government. And we need to stop pretending like that is the necessary deciding factor of whether you're a piece of shit or not, which I think libertarians fell into pretty hard early on with Elon, because he was working on electric vehicles, and a lot of libertarians don't like that. I personally think electric vehicles are cool. I don't think they're better than gas. I think they're interesting devices that are fucking insane that we have figured out how to build. So I think I'm a little more forgiving with Elon than people give credit for. And I'm excited to see what he does for Twitter.
Well, to your point about him not being like other rich and famous people, right? Is that he was rich and famous young. He was very, very young. And so to me, that is the difference between making all your money when you're in your 40s, having struggled to make it the whole time, and then just making it in your 30s, and then you've had houses, you bought the boats,
dude,
you had the cars, like you did, like you've done it, and you've done it again. Then what?
Culture,
so
Grimes.
I think it's right.
Grimes, that.
Yeah. I'm like, you're saying I had a chance.
You couldn't have said it better, by the way. Or
I saw that. I said, wait a minute. No, this is not how this is supposed to go. You're supposed to be with the most beautiful woman in the world. This is how this goes. And you were with this person who refers to themselves as
he's supposed to be with Amber Heard.
Right, I know. And
Right.
he tried that and he was like, fuck that.
He tried it and realized she was a vindictive, manipulative, retarded person.
He got real
And so-
familiar with that hot, crazy.
Right.
You know,
So here's here's the
and-
exact logic that he used. I'll explain it right now. This is man brain thinking. He went from dating a girl who was really fucking hot, like literally symmetrically one of the hottest chicks that are on the planet. This is literally a thing. And then she was fucking batshit crazy, so he separated with her, but then he decided she was a bag of rocks, so I'm gonna find somebody intellectual and smart. And so he went and found somebody in Grimes because he thinks artistic means smart, and it actually means autistic. So in actuality, he just found one of his own.
You're probably, that sounds right. You're right.
That's literally what happened. Now, Grimes is a socialist and kind of stupid, and it is what it is, but she's not that bad. I mean, it's not like she's calling for fucking genocide on the regular.
Right.
Like, that is what it is. Like, she's not, like, politically active. She's not out there, like, championing a bunch of fucking causes constantly. She has normal fucking celebrity bullshit that they all do. So, he's the one that I really care about. She's just a... People that are as smart and as financially stable as him, and I know this is going to sound insane, but he probably looks at her as simply a baby production and or happiness factory. These kind of people do not look at relationships as their soulmates anymore. When you become that level of like connectiveness to what your business is doing, you can't pay attention to that. It just becomes like a second thought. Like, you have to continue to be kind of a business-minded, cutthroat individual. I don't think they do very well in the relationship department.
I just think that you got two like artistic people trying to date, and they don't have that emotional capacity to like fall that deeply. They're like, yeah, you're cool. I like hanging out. The sex is probably amazing. I don't know. I'm not there.
This is perfect. Just look at
But they
Ayn Rand's Love Life. This is actually accurate though. Like in the books that she wrote, like that's there. That structure is there. This idea that this guy cannot focus on his business and relationship at the same time. It just doesn't work. This is why the Will Smiths of the world spin off the handle and go fucking crazy. And why their wives become these vindictive, power-hungry people is because they're allowed to be power-hungry people because they're allowed to fuck whoever they want and do whatever they want at home versus having a man that's actually in the household, which Jada Smith doesn't have. None of these people have. They're doing whatever the fuck they want when they want. Literally fucking the pool boy. So
It's just not Will at the house, but she's got a man at the house. It's just not Will.
You got a man there.
Right, that's my point, right? And
Well,
he allows it. So then it just spirals and becomes worse and worse. Those relationship problems, like, it's fucking, it's time preference. You know, like Ayn Rand talked a lot about that and wrote a lot about it into the stuff. That comment, like, emphasizes it perfectly. Like, Ayn Rand is a good example of that. Like, because I haven't read a lot of that stuff in forever, but I specifically remember, like, fuck me, it's been years, but the guy who runs the steel company,
Atlas Shrugged?
and yeah, but I'm trying to
We just
remember.
start naming them.
I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, and I can't. We're gonna go to something different. We're gonna cover Trump. 20. The only name anybody ever remembers.
I was like, I don't know.
Here's the thing about Elon, though, that
Reared Metal.
There you go.
Fucking thank you. It's literally been 2 years now since I've read that.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a couple things.
No, it was Reardon.
He says he wants to authenticate all humans. How's he going to do that? That's one question. He's also an advocate of trans.
Yeah, this has actually been fleshed out pretty well. The authenticating humans. He responded in a couple different threads and has talked about it a bit. He basically, the way that he's looking at it is he doesn't want to get people's IDs and fucking facial recognition. He wants to move towards more of a payment system, something that requires a subscription, which makes it so the bots can't subscribe, right? Like if you have a botnet of 1,000 Twitter followers, fake followers that you need to be verified to spread something that you want to put out there. It's going to be a lot harder to do if each one of those costs $5 versus the $0 that they cost right now, because you can hire a software developer and create a botnet. It's not a big issue. The verification part is pretty cool, I think, because I think it'd be nice to be able to pay, even if it was $5 a month to Twitter, to have a verified mark and be able to get some more promotion out of stuff. It seems like he might tie maybe the verification badge into ads, which would be interesting to see, where people who are verified can make money off of Twitter and they can get a cut, kind of like how YouTube does. Stop throttling YouTube links on Twitter, stop throttling live streams on Twitter, and actually pump them out to people and stick ads in them. He can make Twitter profitable in 6 months. And anybody saying he can isn't looking at the business perspective. I mean, even if he just made it $5 a month right now to be verified, with the user base they had, even if only 5% of the people did that, that's all he needs. He just needs a bigger base than every other competitor, which right now is like Gab, which has, I believe, 500,000 active members. So he's got to beat that, which is nothing. I mean, 500,000 active members he could beat at $25 a month for verification. That many people would still pay it on Twitter. He could charge substantially more than that and still beat that number. So he can definitely make the company profitable. Twitter has really never done much with ads. They haven't tried. And I think he's going to move into that space, definitely. The app stores are a problem, and people keep talking about that, but I don't see it as much of an issue because he could build his own app store. And I don't think people have taken that into account. It's perfectly capable. He is perfectly capable, rather, of building a marketed APK system that people can download on Android, and building either a subsidiary for Apple, or really just investing a lot into getting Apple to accept it, or making an Apple version of Twitter versus an Android version of Twitter, which would push memers and content creators like myself towards Android and push the more general audience on Twitter towards Apple. I mean, those are all options that he has on the table that can move him towards a profitable model, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, let's see. The only thing that gets me is, it seems like a lot of the deep state actors who were playing with Twitter, it's ironic that they just gave up this, or they just let it go. So we'll see.
I actually agree with you there, but I think the problem is Elon Musk is quote unquote the richest man in the world. But we all know that's not true, right? No. Like Elon Musk even talks about, like, there's all these people richer than me, right? There's tons of people probably on the left, the real left, like the GOP left, who are legitimately richer than Elon Musk, that probably could have altered the decisions being made with the purchasing of Twitter. But they can't. Because if they do that, then they're playing their hand, and everybody knows that there's this ominous figure out there with more money. So instead, I think their hope is that Elon Musk won't go to full free speech platform, which I don't see him doing completely. No. I've talked about 2 episodes in a row why I think that's the case. I don't think it makes financial sense, again, for him to make Twitter profitable to make it completely free speech. I could see him letting Trump back on. I know people keep talking about that. I know Trump said he wouldn't come back, but it sounds like he wants to bring him back.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, the 13 families have way more,
Yeah, money. Well, exactly. They're precisely what I'm talking about. But, and it's like people, these Time Magazine and all that, and Reuters that put out their lists of the richest people, they don't take that into account. They're not talking about those individuals.
Who are the Rothschilds, Jim? We don't talk about that, Kareem. Okay.
Here was an interesting story. The Ghost of Kiev, fake and gay, as expected. Apparently dead now, and then not real, basically, is what has happened. The guy was supposedly dead, and then a bunch of docs got leaked that were discussing the fact that this fucker wasn't even real. It's kind of like those guys on that one island in Ukraine that they, got out.
Snake Island.
Snake Island, yeah.
Go F yourself.
Yeah, they gave him all fucking medals and shit, and it was all fake. So it is what it is. Sam Hyde, of course, the most famous coming out of this whole thing. So I love the fact that that this exists on the internet, and that the internet culture makes sure that this gets to see the light of day. But I suppose the other story was the one that CD brought to my attention, which is ties into Trump and 2024 and the elections and stuff. So I want to talk about all of this in one big encompassing thing, including the libertarian side of it and our plans for 2024. Before we do this, I'm going to get a little more drunk. One moment.
Josh, you need to hurry up with Flexit so states can start leaving and there is no 2020.
Dude, so I have somewhat of a timeline for Florida. I don't want to like jinx anything, but the way that I'm looking at it right now, work is getting to me over here. I'm starting to get irritated with things because I'm getting froggy. We'll put it that way. If anybody knows that old timey fucking term. But basically, I have to move out of this apartment in August. Now, I'm thinking about getting I have my grandmother with me and stuff, so there's things I have to take care of. But there's, what I'm looking to do is probably get a lease that's like a seasonal lease here after we move out in August. So I'll have like a 6-month or 4-month clock. And then once that lease runs out, I'll just move over. Whether it's rental or buying property or whatever, that's kind of the plan as it stands. So, basically, funny enough, the way I timed it, right as the weather's getting really shitty here, is when I'd be heading out. Oh, wow. I wonder how that happened. But we will, yeah, so that's cool, and I'm sure I'll put some update stuff up as things happen. But, I'm not sure which one of these we will look at first, but we were going to go and start with this one. So this is CNN Politics. New York Times audio reveals McCarthy worried GOP lawmakers Reddick would incite violence after January 6th. So I found this specifically interesting because McCarthy was somebody that Trump had previously trusted, right, and has put a lot of faith into, and basically the majority of the Republican Party has put some faith into.
Well, he's going to be the next Speaker of the House.
Because of exactly that, right? This guy is the Speaker. This is the guys the Republicans are putting forward. And this guy that the Republicans are putting forward is obviously no fan of Donald Trump and his administration. So what I'm wondering is, do Republicans shift? Can they change in any way this guy becoming Speaker? And do they give a shit? Or is this the line? Is this where Republicans publicly state that they're no longer going to support Trump come 2024 and that he's not really running, or that he's altered his decisions, specifically whether or not he's going to be as friendly with the Republicans this time around? Which I know a lot of libertarians are going to hate hearing, but there is a possibility that he enters back into this trying to hit after somebody like DeSantis by going a little bit to one side.
Well, I can tell you that's what midterm elections are for. So I think they're going to see how the midterms work and how they poll, either focusing on being a Trumper or minimizing the affiliation. And I think they're going to see which one works best. And then you're going to, you'll see it in 2024. And however the midterms go this year, that's how it will go. And but I do think that there is a huge faction within the GOP they never like Trump because Trump disrupts what they got going on, and they come out and say whatever they want, but so they take lobby dollars just like everybody else. So,
assuming the establishment Republicans win the midterms, which I think most people assume is going to happen. We're going to see a quote-unquote red wave take over the political spectrums there. If that happens, assuming that takes place, and Donald Trump does in fact run in 2024, which I think everybody but Josh here, or
He
is
won't
it
be
Kareem?
around. He won't be around.
Oh
but
yeah, okay. Well, fucking Jesus Christ.
It's a bioweapon.
Kareem over here is convinced that Trump and Biden and all the other old people are going to croak from the vaccine. Now, I'm not saying which vaccine.
Bioweapon.
So fuck off. but yeah. This is the beauty of having a small channel, is you can get away with this shit to a certain extent until you go full Tower Gang.
But what happens if Flexit
Then you go to
happens
Odyssey.
before Trump gets in?
Then you go to Odyssey, and that's, oh god.
But
Eventually,
wait,
when I have Odyssey
what happens
shows
is-
going, I'm
Josh,
excited
when
for
does
that.
Tom Woods want to get Flexit going? What if states actually do put? What if there's a peaceful divorce also before this happens? I feel something will set them.
They don't want that. They don't the reality is most people don't want. The problem is most people don't understand what it is, so they don't want it. Normal people, they're just like, oh no, that's crazy. It's going to lead to civil war, like the Civil War, so we don't want that. Rich people are like, no, we don't want that. That's going to disrupt. It's going to be economically disruptive and fuck with my trade. So I'm not going to make as much money as I used to. Poor people don't want this shit because they're like, oh fuck, all this money I'm getting. The state's not getting the federal grants anymore, so they can't pay me my welfare checks, my WIC stamps, and all that other shit. So nobody except our circle and sphere of influence really wants that, because most of us are ANCAPs or anarcho something, so we understand what anarchy is and what a stateless society could look like. We're optimists in this. The majority of the individuals in this country are pessimistic when it comes to anarchy. They have no fucking clue what it is. They've never heard about it. Whatever is out there is propagandized bullshit played out by the media, whether it's movies or TV or video games. And all these people are mildly retarded to begin with. They can't do shit for themselves.
Okay, fine. Let's even assume that's true. Let's assume, that the cognitive
Most of the
level.
people are
Josh
mildly
dropping
retarded
facts, by
and
the
require
way.
the state to coddle them like fucking children.
Okay,
Yes, we can.
there's a lot of people who are, but okay. Ridiculous.
My ideology is anarcho tyranny. A hot dog is not a sandwich.
Anarchist. It sounds like Stefan Molyneux.
Hot dogs are not sandwiches,
They're not.
and I'm an anarcho capitalist.
Yeah,
Hot dogs are sandwiches. But here's the actual real question.
Josh is right, by the way. That
Okay.
was fire.
No, it's not 100. I've talked to people, just regular dudes, who are like, maybe a peaceful divorce will work so we don't have civil war. So there are people.
Yeah, there's lots of people like that in Alaska and the general South, and kind of, oh my God, Shannon put a chat so bad, I think it was removed by you. Or no, that's just saying Josh is right. Okay.
If you watch Tim Pool, which I do sometimes, depending on the guest, Josh, depending on the guest, it was like 80% of Biden voters and 80% of Trump voters want to break off. Marjorie Taylor Greene brought it up. Who's a congressman. John Podesta suggested.
Okay, here's the thing, though. Marjorie Taylor Greene, as much as libertarians love her, is a fucking fruit salad of a human being. And she means fucking nothing in the broad spectrum of things.
She's just.
This is like Rand Paul, as much as I love Rand to fucking death.
Yeah, MTG.
He's not doing anything. There's nothing going on. Like, he called out Fauci, and that's great, and I want him to continue to do that stuff. But Rand Paul isn't going to go on television and pretend like he's the best thing since sliced bread. Marjorie Taylor Greene has kind of done that, and the right is using, and the right and libertarians to an extent are putting her up on a pedestal that I'm like,
I'm not putting her on a pedestal.
Yo, you're not. I didn't say you.
But here's the thing.
I say you. You're fine.
It seems to me, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, if you want to consider her authoritarian right, Podesta, who's a terrible human being, authoritarian left, both hardcore. These are like not just random, hi, I'm a dude on the street. These are people who are like leaders in major parties saying, hey, if my side doesn't get what, or if this doesn't work out with this side, I mean, he's the whole East Coast to see if Trump wins. So if Trump had won in 2020, I feel David Friedman was right. The polarization is getting too big, and maybe America is just too big. That's not saying I hate America. I love America, but Maybe it's too big. Maybe there's too many people with too many ideas. And we should start states break off. Then, okay, countryside wants to do it this way. Cities wants to do certain things this way. You need to give people options and say, do you want the articles? Do you want the Constitution? Or do you want free market anarchy? And then give them one of them.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of words for a whole bunch of people who don't know what words mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
So
telling you
here's the
right
thing,
now, that
right?
is not a product that you can sell, darling. I wish it was.
it is.
We would have been gazillionaires by now. No.
So I have a
So you
copy
just
of
give 'em-
nullification.
Y'all also give people way too many choices. People are binary thinkers. It's A or B. It's black or white. There is no. They don't like to think. They want their problems solved for them.
But that's why we're here.
That is why we're here. So it is our job to break it down into this big. I mean, like this big.
Here's the thing.
This is too big. This is honestly too big.
Bite-sized, containable pieces will make people be able to absorb the thoughts easier.
And
if you come at somebody with an entire fucking thesis paper on what it is you want to do in politics, they're not going to listen.
I know. And Kareem, I was not trying to
I'm not saying that.
Like how you're saying that. I was just saying that you are right, but it's just. I like to think in terms of like, okay, so if that's the three choices we come down with,
yes,
we really have to turn that into two.
People are genuinely stupid.
And
that is just truth. Like, they're dumb.
And look,
it's not
their fault. And I also really want to make it clear that like we are also fighting a narrative that is all about unity and people who are into socialism because they've never
save the children.
Yeah, they've never experienced socialism. So like
you just
they
want
just have
people
this
to die.
idea, this romantic idea of what it is. So you have a national narrative about peace, unity, LGBTQ, ABCQRD, like, you know what I mean? And then but then you have the very small pockets of people that thank God we've been able to find that are like, no, I wish I didn't have to participate. And I do think that a lot of people could get turned on to that, but it's unfortunately drowned out by a message of unity, which even the people who are supposed to be at this point the counterculture, the McCarthys of the world, they are part of the status quo.
Yeah, well, the GOP always was. GOP was never really against any. There's a few players and shakers.
I know it's just coming out now. Like people are just seeing it and how it's no different. Like
the common man doesn't want freedom; he wants comfort. That's the easiest way to say it right there. Culture and decay. Also, everybody go fucking Rebel with the Cause podcast, Culture and Decay, all awesome.
All I'm saying is when these central institutions break down, like if you woke up one day and you were sick, most of us wouldn't go to the CDC and the FDA. But what if they didn't exist? Then you have to figure out like, okay, well, what's wrong with me? I have these symptoms. Okay, it's a lack of vitamin this. So that's all I'm saying is these whiskey hotel will
vitamin D. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm still a child.
I'm just saying this. When the central institution, the Leviathan whiskey hotel.
Who is that?
Somebody's echoing.
Is it good enough?
And I hear computer sounds. I'm assuming this is Josh.
I guess.
I know.
Josh was the culprit earlier, so I am blaming Josh. You killed someone's vibe.
No, you're good. All I'm saying is
you're all good.
Central institutions fail because of the economic calculation problem, and they just waste money, and they're run by Keynesians and Marxists. So Whiskey Hotel is going to fail. When it does fail, that's the options I give people. Okay, we got the Constitution. Constitution works good. If you're a classical liberal, if you're a minarchist, maybe the articles work. If you're an ANCAP, give people those options. Those three options make sense. I think
it did kind of sound like somebody coming through Josh's
computer. That's what I'm anticipating.
Oh yeah.
No, I agree with that. That's spot on. I think I guess where I come down on it is just in general that we should all be talking about everybody's right to an extent, right? Like, but this is why the Libertarian Party fucks up. It's because everybody's right about how to communicate with people in a way, right? Some people you need to communicate to with a lot of information, right? I've passed out, whether this is illegal or not, I've printed out dozens of libertarian books and passed them out to people because I work at a job with a printing press. So it makes it easy. I can print an actual book. I mean, it looks like a real fucking book. And I can give it to somebody and say, read this. Lots of people love that shit, right? We all know somebody in our life that isn't a libertarian who happens to be a bookworm or be interested in reading a lot of news articles or something where you might be able to use that. But the majority of the population is not that. They're a guy who, like me, if I wasn't a libertarian, goes to work, comes home, sleeps, wakes up, watches YouTube, goes to work, comes home, goes to sleep, watches YouTube, and repeats that process 7 days a week. They don't give a fuck about politics. They give a fuck about who is able to get them out of that situation. And politicians are telling them constantly how to get out of that situation. So we have to tell them the way they've been telling you you're doing this isn't going to lead to you getting a better life. It's going to lead to you being in the exact same position until you fucking drop dead of a heart attack and everything around you is gone and doesn't matter. So you need to fucking make some change, and the only way you're going to do that is by taking human action and taking action by yourself as an individual and not with some collective behind you. That's how you message to people. There's just happens to be 1,000 different ways to message that to people. And the Libertarian Party and a lot of libertarians don't recognize that. They think there has to be one way to do that. And it's like, well, no, that's not how marketing works. Like, there's not one way to market to somebody. There's no book that just tells you, well, you just tell them this. If there was, everybody would be a fucking millionaire. And every political movement would be a success. So it's we're trying to build something that's never fucking happened before. We need to try new fucking things. We need to try shit that no one's fucking tried before. And that hasn't been happening in the LP. It's been happening outside of the LP.
But we're going to take it over in Reno, and it will happen.
Fuck yeah.
Who knows? Actually, I'll even raise the stakes. After we take over the LP in Reno, there's a lot of people in the Republican Party that are tired of these rhinos. I even say
that's true too. Through movies, really.
We can take over the GOP next and push out all the rhinos and MAGA cultists. The people say, "Oh, he can never do anything wrong." Push him out too. Maybe if we have that vehicle, then we can get rid of the DNC. Trust me.
Here's the thing. That's never going to happen.
It'll happen.
Never.
I'm a realist. Can I be real?
With Ron Paul, it's not going to happen now.
Ron Paul got.
I'm gonna be as genuine as I can. The results of the 2024 election are either going to be that Donald Trump or DeSantis are president of the United States. That's going to be the result. And the outcome of this will hopefully be that a libertarian like Dave Smith or a number of other people, Spike Cohen, Amash to an extent, but I have some real reservations with him, is up there on a stage or up there somewhere spreading the message of libertarianism somewhere in the form that Ron Paul was, that can hopefully bring in a big swell of people, of individuals to the Libertarian Party and to this thought. So that by the time 2028 runs around and whoever gets the presidency doesn't fucking do what it is they were saying they were going to do, we can actually start to combat some things, not only on a local level, but on a national level. I don't see 2024 as being as serious of a libertarian presidential candidacy as others do. And maybe I'm wrong there, and that's fine. I don't think you're wrong. But I don't think anybody believes that... I don't think anybody thinks the Democrat's going to win, first off. I'll say that right now.
Rig it, not unless they rig it.
I think CD agrees with me on that fact.
Unless they steal it.
I don't see a Democrat winning this from fucking... I mean, I don't see a single Democrat I can think that could run. I just don't see it.
I see Tulsi maybe, but she's not a Democrat anymore.
She's not really a Democrat. No.
Absolutely not. They would never run her. They would never run
Yeah,
her. She would
the
never.
reason we
she
can take
wouldn't-
the
she
LP
wouldn't
is
make
because our
it-
enemies have no money or real power.
She wouldn't
Bernie
make it.
Sanders is gonna run. I'm from Vermont, and I'm gonna give you health
God
care.
bless him. You know what? You can't knock that hustle, man. You cannot knock that hustle.
What if it is Bernie
Dude
Sanders?
does not give up.
He's
So yeah, the
It's
GOP,
impressive.
the establishments on both sides have a lot of money, and libertarians don't. We're hemorrhaging money, right? We're quite literally having to fucking lease off fucking properties and do bullshit like this, right? And I made a meme about this a few days ago. It was the GRU meme, right? And it says the current LNC, and under it, it's GRU going like, in terms of money, we have no money. And I was like, yeah, this is a perfect representation of what the fucking hell. So yeah, Tulsi, and I want to preface this by saying this. I like Tulsi Gabbard. I really do. I actually do. I didn't meet Tulsi Gabbard, but I have somebody who's close to my family who did, who I'm pretty good friends with, who had time to spend like 3-4 hours with her, and said she was a really nice individual, liked her, and personality-wise. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I look at politicians, I look at policy second, and I know I'm not supposed to, because libertarians are kind of supposed to I look at personality a lot. And I'll be honest with Josh. There was somebody who was on your guys' show who's looking at a presidential run. My main concern was like the way people come off in interviews, the way people react to things, right? That conversation that goes back and forth. When I'm thinking about voting for somebody, even on a state level, a local level, I go look at videos with them. If it's a local level, I live in a town with 2,000 people. I've met the person, right? But if we're talking about a bigger city or a, state level position, I'm going to go watch videos of the person. I see how they conversate. I see how they act. I want to see if I trust them. I believe in some form of gut instinct into somebody. Like if you've ever shaken somebody's hand, right? They talk about a firm handshake. Sometimes I just shake somebody's hand and I'm like, I don't trust you. Like I don't believe you're a good person. Like, I just don't think I don't, like, everything you do from now on, I'm going to look at with a little bit of, like, what's going on with this guy? Like, I don't know if anybody else has that feeling, but that's how it is.
JC made a good point.
How many politicians?
No, I'm not roasting Josh. I'm roasting the other person to an extent. There was the whole exchange in the comment section. I hope that live chat saved, because if so, it's kind of a fucking spurg fest.
Well, yeah, I said it all too.
Yeah, no, you covered it really well. It was a response that I think I was like, yeah. But it's something that I think can be fixed, right? This isn't a permanent thing, right? So like a real deep libertarian, somebody who's really good with the philosophy, really good on everything, right? That you think is perfect. They can still be horrible in a debate. They can still be horrible in a fucking interview and still be the best fucking person for the job by far.
Like Jacob Hornberger.
But still fall short. Right. Well, no, that's a perfect fucking example, right? Like, that guy is just as good as anybody else to run things and to be in charge of the shit show. And he doesn't get enough credit for it because I think his candidacy and the way things went wasn't really great. And it is what it is. I wasn't really around back then, so I can't speak on it too much. This is a problem I run into too, being young in the movement, right? And I know David Brady's probably going to run in this too, is when you talk about some of these issues, it's hard to talk about it if you haven't lived through it. Like, it just does get hard because you don't know some of the historical elements to it, right? I feel like everybody who's young in the movement is going to run into that issue.
Yeah. You can be a Bernie bro when he wins in 2024. I'm from Vermont. I got free health care.
Bernie Sanders.
I'm a democratic socialist.
I stand by what I said, that the Democratic nominee for president will be under the age of 60.
Okay, who are you going to run? Mark Cuban then at this point?
Oh, that would be great. I'd vote for Mark Cuban. Are
Mark
you fucking
Cuban's the
kidding
only,
me?
like, they're only.
Mark Cuban could be interesting. Because again, like, that's just a Democratic angle of Trump.
It is.
Basically, is that what it is? I mean, that's kind of what that is, right?
Like,
I mean,
having fucking Mark Cuban run for president is
I don't
basically
actually
having the
think-
Democrat Trump run for president.
thinking about his politics
that's-
more so
I
on
can
what I've
see him,
actually
yeah.
seen. I wouldn't vote for the guy, but I'd laugh when he won. Like kind of how I did with Trump. Like I was like, this is pretty funny, right?
Jeans from Kmart is the president now.
I honestly believe.
No shit.
If you,
Oh,
That's true.
Mark Cuban's probably
That's
the only
cool.
one who could actually stand a fighting chance against either of them.
well, his economics is good. The guy makes money.
There's no Ian Yacht.
It's okay. It's okay. We don't know how to spell either. Anyway.
I was gonna say that's not how yacht spelled. You're right.
I know who's behind that account, and he lives in
after
Florida,
further
and he should know
inspection.
how to spell yacht living in Florida, pussy.
Wow.
Shots fired. So I wanted to read this blurb too from what CD sent me because this is pretty good. McCarthy addresses leaked January 6th comments in closed door meeting. House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy is heard criticizing then President Trump and some fellow Republicans in the aftermath of January 6th. In audio recordings released by the New York Times, in a closed door meeting, McCarthy addressed the critics directly. Rank and file members appeared to rally behind the man who could be their next speaker. So Republican establishment people are supporting him.
So
Whether or not the rest of everybody else within the Republican Party and the Trump wing does is
this was going to
different,
be.
I suppose.
This was my big point because further in the article, it says what
In which one? The
the
CNN,
CNN one. So it
Okay, we can bring
explains
that one.
what he said, like the transcript of these leaked conversations, phone calls, whatever. But it says down here, and I thought this was interesting. McCarthy did not respond to questions to reporters at the Capitol regarding the New York Times report. Asked if he was concerned it could hurt his chances of becoming Speaker if Republicans win the House in the midterm election, and he said no.
Nope.
So that means that he is super confident that even if he does not look like he fully supports Trump, he will have no problem being voted Speaker. And I just found that extremely interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, it's almost like the Republicans are suspecting that DeSantis or another big Republican is going to run.
Well, they would know that.
Yeah.
They would they know that. They know right now who's.
Do you think they'd know if DeSantis... here's my theory. My theory is Trump and DeSantis are wild cards. They're outside of the field of the establishment. And I will say this now as somebody who will get some heat for this from some deep ANCAPs that will disagree with me. DeSantis is different than most politicians in the sense that he cares about Florida more than he does about the national stage and progressing. And that is fucking dangerous for these people. I don't think DeSantis cares if he becomes president.
I don't think he does either.
I think he'd be perfectly fine continuing to lead Florida in the direction that he's going. So whether he wins or loses, if he does run, he doesn't give a fuck, right? Trump is invested. The Democrats are invested. He's not. So that's, I think, the angle that I think I would take there is I think Trump and him are both individuals within the Republican space that will have to garner support after they announce that they're running. Whereas the Republicans are going to put their weight behind a single candidate. My guess is somebody like a Ted Cruz or even a Rand Paul, possibly, but I doubt it. Probably a Ted Cruz or somebody like that. would be my guess. Ted is a perfect example of GOP establishment Republican, and he's been on a good media curve with the establishment Republican base. Massey wouldn't work for them. They don't want somebody like him. He's too fucking libertarian. Duke, thanks for tuning in. I used to think this, but the more I see him in interviews, I see Ronnie D not running. Yeah, I can't see Ronnie D not running. Yeah, so I don't think Ronnie D is not going to run. I just think I think Donald Trump is going to run. I just don't know whether he's going to win the nomination. If he's against DeSantis or Ted Cruz with the entire establishment Republican Party behind him, he might not win.
No.
He might not win the nomination. It's possible.
Dude's almost 80, though, and he's a bioweapon, man.
But whoever he backs is probably going to win the presidency. That would be the argument I would make.
Dude, he's backing the morgue.
Yeah, Massey's problem is he's not corrupt.
Yeah.
Perfect way to put that. Massey is not in the bed of all these politician fucks.
Yeah, I like that.
And Amber Heard has not shat onto that bed yet. And so he cannot be president. Yeah. We didn't get any advice from emo Garth Brooks tonight, which is
actually funny you bring that up. He played Tiger Stadium this weekend. He had like 100.
Are you
He had
fucking kidding?
I had like 100-something thousand people all stacked. It was crazy. It was cool to see it like that.
God.
It was really cool to see it like that. So the country Garth Brooks showed up, not the emo one. And thank God.
That's a good trade.
He'd have been fired immediately.
Can I be honest?
What?
Who would you rather see?
Well,
would you rather see emo Garth Brooks, Chris Gaines, or would you rather see him now?
Okay, well, because I've seen country Garth Brooks, like that's not that big of a deal. So for exclusivity points and being able to like say I did that, I would kill to go to a Chris Gaines concert.
I guess
Just so I can say I did it.
That intense stare. Intense stare.
It's like people that got to see Milli Vanilli. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, that's exactly it.
Not great, but I was there. I mean, that's cool. So, funny.
It's like seeing Leonard Skinner before the real guy died.
Right. Like, that's what I'm saying, you know? So, but what we had tied that into was the January 6th.
I'll get him off screen.
He's weird. Yeah, he's weird. No one wants to see that. Oh my God.
He gets into your head.
Yeah. Don't listen to the music. Do not listen to the music, whatever you do. But the
Hypno-Toad in the modern era.
Yeah. No. But so the January 6th committee is now apparently a trial for Trump and his involvement in the 2020 election.
So I'll bring that story up here. One moment.
Oh, my bad.
Give me 2 seconds. I can bring it up on screen. I actually hadn't brought that one up, but I remember you sending it.
Well, I just think it's interesting that this January 6th committee went from looking into the conspirators to now they're trying to subpoena people to talk about Trump's involvement in the meddling in the 2020 election. Like, whoa, time out. So is this just going to be, or is this just, like, this really is a, whatever the fuck we want to investigate, we're going to investigate party. And we'll just bring them down. I guess I'm saying that because we were right. And I like when we're right. We're right all the time. But I really like that we said that they're just going to use this as a power grab.
So here's the story here from The Guardian. Capitol Attack Committee requests cooperation from key Republican trio. Can we talk about the name Capitol Attack Committee? I tell you what? Can I tell you what Capital Attack Committee
It's
reminds
the
me of?
He-Man woman hating club. You know what I mean?
No, I'll tell you
Capital
exactly what it reminds me of right now. This is fucking funny. It reminds me of. I'm bringing this up. This is gonna be great. This reminds me of Mars Attacks. If you know this movie, then you'll know exactly. But it sounds like one of the government groups from Mars Attacks.
I figured.
When you see the government reacting to everything in that movie, I just watched this movie like 3 days ago, and it has been forever. But it reminds me of one of the fucking people from Mars Attacks, dude. Fucking, I want a movie that is just Chris Gaines fighting the people, the aliens from Mars Attacks.
Make it.
Knack, 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 knack. I fucking God, I love that movie.
Alec Baldwin said he'll direct it. He needs another shot.
That movie is so good, man. That was one of the films that this is a weird movie, and I doubt any of you have seen it. If you have, I'll be surprised. Have any of you seen a movie called The Triplets of Belvedere?
No.
You got
I hear silence. So this is a movie that everybody should go watch. I doubt anybody here has seen it. It's a weird fucking movie. The Triplets of Belvedere. It's a fucking weird film. But look it up. Go watch it. It's interesting. It's all subtitles. It's fun. It's not like a normal film. It's old. This was like my grandmother's favorite movie growing up. So I watched it over and over and over again. And I recommend people see it because it's an interesting movie. It's fucking weird, man. Like there's frogs that get blown up with dynamite in it. It's fun.
Amazing.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this because this is an interesting story. 1 second, I'm gonna bring that back up, but I'm gonna refresh it because it wasn't loading properly. But yeah. So the way that I see this is the Republican Party needs to make Trump A, look as bad as possible, or B, be removed from the candidacy completely come 2024 if they are going to run a major candidate.
Yes.
So say the Republican Party backs a Ted Cruz. How can they get a Ted Cruz in presidency? Well, make it so Trump can't run. Make it a race between DeSantis or Ted Cruz, or convince DeSantis not to run entirely. So the Republican Party convinces DeSantis not to run. They use the Republican Party to influence the Democratic Party, who is already trying to stop Trump from running. They use that energy they have to stop him from running, so he doesn't run. The Republican Party puts up Ted Cruz or somebody establishment Republican like that. And the Democrats put up somebody like Biden, Harris, Mayor Pete Buttstuff, whoever they decide on. And that fails, of course, and the Republican wins. And you have 4 years of Ted Cruz.
Oh my God.
Or
okay. So
any one of other Republican footnote
but if you
leaders.
If you have two fact like we were talking
two fags?
yes, basically two factions, okay? And within the GOP, right? And one is like anti-Trump Rhino, and one is I guess like I don't know, whoever's left, it's like super MAGA. Anyway, so and then if DeSantis decides to run, he's like not establishment guy, right? And he is going to be running against Trump. So then who like then does that mean DeSantis and Trump are going for the same people? And then
exactly. That's what I expected the whole time. Here's the thing, right? Is Donald Trump went pro-vaccine, and DeSantis didn't.
So So, but
And
Trump doesn't get along with the rhinos yet.
he does,
He is
though.
a rhino.
He does.
I didn't
If
say
you
he's
look
not
into
a
his
rhino. I
involvement,
just said that on paper,
Trump is an economic Republican. This is a new thing, and this is what libertarians get wrong. They want to put people in boxes, even though we believe in individualism.
I don't.
And they're putting him in a box. Trump is a businessman above anything else. His father had the same belief. Whether you believe his dad made shitty decisions and he did evil stuff, I'll agree with you. Great, you're right. But the truth is that his dad made decisions that made economic sense for him to make money and to further his business. And Trump has made decisions that are better for him and to further his business. And so further on, being this election taking place, he's going to do the same thing. It's whether or not the Democrats and the Republicans that disagree with Trump can work hard against him with another candidate to defeat him. And I don't think that candidate is DeSantis. I do think DeSantis is a wild card. He's somebody different, completely separate from the rest of them, because DeSantis is Florida. He doesn't care about the rest of the country. He only sees the presidency as something that can make Florida better, right? He can run for president and he can endorse a candidate to replace him that will be more likely to win and replace him that's a decent candidate. And then he becomes president and he can look after Florida with that candidate that he puts in power and make sure that his state is doing well while he makes sure the country is going in a good direction. And
or he doesn't.
I don't agree.
Or he doesn't run at
I don't
all.
agree.
Or he doesn't run at
Or
all.
he doesn't run at all. And I don't agree that DeSantis
Kareem-
is a good candidate for president.
Well,
Yeah,
But
I don't think he has
that's
one
how
fault
he's
there.
looking at it. That's how a Republican is looking at this.
DeSantis
Like-
isn't making it to the election if Kareem's right, because he got the shot too. He got the Johnson & Johnson shots. So all of them are going to be.
You're not wrong.
Well, wait. I'm
You're
not
not
basing this off of.
Here's the thing, though. Plot twist. Johnson & Johnson is the only vaccine that's actually good.
I would actually believe that because it was recalled by the government. No,
That's exactly why I said that. That's exactly it. It was a private company, not as funded as the rest of
I
them.
don't think that's going to be that big of a deal come midterms. I'm here to tell you, I do not think it's going to be that big of a deal.
No, I don't think so either. The vacine's done. The COVID shit is done. All that shit's done.
So
they care about war and money.
I'm just
We're not doing our bioweapon no more.
What?
No, they're worried about bioweapons. They're just worried about bioweapons in Ukraine, not the U.S. no more.
So they're just going to keep the fluoride in the water. We'll be fine. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's been working all these years. We're going to keep on keeping on.
Perfect. Just keep on rolling, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Just keep the fluoride in the water. It's working. Look. It's working. like
it's been working.
We're here because the fluoride is working.
You know the best way to kill fluoride? Smooth Wild Turkey 101 whiskey.
That's true.
Probably is true.
That's what
Absolutely,
your dentist told you, huh? Probably.
I don't have a dentist.
Okay, well, I didn't say that. You did. And
No, I did. I don't have a dentist.
He believes in anarchy Rothbard flavor.
So
Shannon brings up a point that I don't think libertarians touch on enough that I think we should talk about, which is the Jack Dorsey comment, right? This is like we always talked about Jack Dorsey was a hostage while he was in charge of Twitter. This is Shannon talking about the fact that DeSantis has young children, and running for president means that those young children could be victimized by the federal government, which I don't think any of us will pretend like doesn't happen. And so that is true. I don't necessarily think DeSantis has to run for president or that he's necessarily going to. I just think that he would win possibly if he did. And I think Florida could be better off. I know a lot of people think that's not the truth, but I'm going to make a case for it. And here's my case. If DeSantis were to choose somebody while leaving the state and heavily endorse them, he could put that person into his position as he leaves. If that was successful, then his presidency makes a lot more sense. He can make himself 10 times more famous than he is now as a leader of Florida, as a leader of the country. He can make his presidency a lot like Trump did, as a targeted advance against the media. Now, my issues with DeSantis lie in two big things. One, his foreign affairs issues. DeSantis has no fucking idea how to run a military, and he has no fucking idea how to run foreign affairs as far as Israel goes, and that's been made pretty apparent in his own opinions.
Yeah,
I think he's strong on China. I think he'd be strong on Russia. I don't think he'd be strong on much else. I think those are the two issues that he's paid the most attention to, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is what it is, but that's just my opinion on it. I don't think that guy is going to be good dealing with economic and military world debates versus country or state debates.
Question:
Put it that way.
Does it really matter if someone's tough on Russia or China? We have enough internal problems.
Right?
Here.
That's what I was going to say. Who
Like,
cares?
I agree with you, but no, that's how Republicans think. That I'm giving the argument from the Republican perspective, because those are the majority of the voters that are going to vote for these guys. We're not voting for DeSantis. We're not voting for Trump. I don't have any intentions of voting for those guys. If there's not a good if there's not a good libertarian running, then I won't vote.
Same.
That's what I've always done. That's my entire principle is based off of that. I don't believe in voting for somebody I don't think is going to run the country in the way that I think it needs to be done and demolish the state.
It's just amazing to me. People are like Russia, China, North Korea.
Everybody's different. Like every libertarian is different.
I get it.
Keep saying that and stop pretending like everybody needs to be the same.
Nothing.
And some of the Mises people are guilty of that to an extent.
They are,
but I tend to be a little more equal opportunity fucktard. I'm gonna
you put that on a shirt.
If somebody says something stupid, I'm gonna call it out. If somebody says something I like, I'm gonna call it out. It doesn't matter what side they're on. That's never been the way that I've operated on the internet. Before I was a part of the Libertarian Party, before I was on the right side of politics, I mean, back when I was a leftist, that's not how I operated. So I just don't, it's just not in my, I don't know. It's just not in my brain. Well, I guess the closeout and the last thing that I'd like to talk about in closing is, how do each of us, and we've talked about this on each show, but every time it seems to alter and change, and so I think it's something we're going to come back to a lot, is, so I understand this. DeSantis was in the Navy and in the Iraq War. Yes. He has a military upbringing, and I get that and all of it. But his actual decisions he's made, what he stated, seems to support Israel an awful lot.
Sometimes.
He talked about how Biden bungled the Afghanistan thing, but didn't really talk about whether or not he thought we should have pulled out. I've never heard him make a public statement on that. And that might be my fault. Maybe I haven't heard a lot of that. I know I'm going to be moving to Florida, and I'm going to have to look into a lot more of the political sway of that state as an individual state versus the national scale of things. But I guess my opinion rolls down to, like, I don't know why we as libertarians, and obviously we don't support either DeSantis or Trump or Biden or Harris or any of this. Also, I saw this exchange in the chat. This is fucking, by the way, this is actually the opposite of the truth. What Shannon has said here. It's quite literally the opposite. I'm far more sober now. You need the Jewish support in Florida.
Oh my God. Here we go again.
The Jewish support in Florida. Oy vey. I can do that. Dude, I can. You think I'm lying, but I can go dark online. I could get the toily fucking braids out. We can get it going. I can get a hat and suit. The half jacket waistcoat.
Can you get
All right.
Can you get some of that Rothschild money for Dave Smith? Dave, here's $5 trillion. I think you can win.
Jesus Christ.
It's just $5 trillion ain't that much.
So I let's talk about Reno. The Libertarian Party, the Mises Caucus, moving into an interesting time where I want to be real here. The Mises Caucus is attempting to make history within the Libertarian Party. I mean, that is ultimately what will be happening if this works. Josh died. But, ultimately, that is what will be happening. Is if we're successful, the Libertarian Party will be changing on a big scale. The Mises Caucus is going to alter the way the party is running and hopefully make it better. Whether or not that's true is beyond me. It is what it is. After Reno, what is it that you think will happen? That's the question I'll pose to both of you.
You go first, Kareem.
There you go. Okay, I have an idea of what will happen there. They're going to walk out when Angela gets here. They're going to walk out when Ken takes over. They're going to walk out when... I'm excited to see all these walkouts. They're going to walk out when decisions are happening. Some people are going to leave and say, oh my God, they're mean, they're this, they say mean things, they're, right wing, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into every stupid thing they say. Cathedral Caucus will still be doing this, and they'll keep losing support. Some people will leave, and that's fine. We'll have the Ron Paul revolution people in charge of Mises. You can use that vehicle to grow the party, eventually maybe even take over one of the major parties or influence most of the people there. That is a possibility over time, not tomorrow, but so
right.
It gets you, it's one step closer to a freer world, honestly. So Reno is here.
Yep.
And I think Josh is going. Are you going, CD?
I'm not. I wasn't affiliated in time in Texas, and but it's okay. Texas is moot anyway.
You guys
don't. I don't even. I don't even claim them yet.
I will talk about Texas for a moment.
Yeah.
Texas's LP's messaging and just the whole thing is kind of whack. I'm not gonna lie. It's really fucking aggravating sometimes on like Twitter and shit. It makes you want to fucking throw something to the wall. So here's the thing, right? Everybody has their own opinion on the LP and like different affiliates and everything. Everybody's different. I want a wealth of ideas, but it doesn't mean that I can't call them out when they do something stupid. And I would agree with this as much as he is my personal fucking hero.
That is exact. I said that last week.
Somebody
I said that last week. It's an issue.
I have Scott Horton's. I have every book that Scott Horton has written on my shelf. And I met the guy.
That's just an observation.
Twice.
He's a warrior.
And I love the guy, but it's just he's a very nice guy. And we need somebody who's a little more equipped to be not nice.
Well,
yeah.
It's just because like he is like LP Texas, like he is the guy. He's the guy, and so
and I mean for good reason, right?
Again,
he's not connected to the state. That's not a slight at Scott Horton.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because he's the guy, I wish that he would take a bit of a stauncher stance.
Yeah,
and
I agree
with Dave and Heiss and Dice, and he would really side with the caucus. But he's not going to. That's never going to happen. Even when the Mises Caucus takes over everything in Reno, I can tell you if you have a thorn in your side, it will be Texas. Believe you
Yeah,
me.
I know. It's irritating. So I, on a side note, I had somebody else buy me a mouse and keyboard, or mouse and a mouse pad, for my studio here, and they decided to buy me RGB. None of my setup is RGB, so I now have this gay ass rainbow colored mouse and mouse pad. My mouse pad lights up. Do you have any idea how fucking gay that is? Like, I'm like,
Hey,
I just realized
I
it
don't know
happened.
how
I
gay
hit
that
the
is.
button,
that's
I'll take
and
your
I'm
word for it.
visually cringing.
honestly, I don't think
like-
that's that big a deal. But okay, maybe that bill.
What happened to you, Texas? I thought you were cool. They realized that if Alaska cut themselves in half, that Texas would become the third largest state, and they just gave up.
Maybe.
Waiting, don't go to Florida. That bill will stop your mouse pad from working. It'll be real sad.
Yeah, my mouse pad can't go to school anymore. My
I can't take 3-year-olds to chicken.
fucking, that's great. All right, everybody. Well, I think we have gone on long enough. I suppose if anybody has any final plugs or anything else they want to give out, I will give out my Twitter at Liberty Layton if people want to follow me, and go on over to CD since she has taken the top position. She threw Josh off the stream
That's what I
and
did.
took over his dominant role.
No,
Just salting me up over here, right up.
I am.
Kind
I
of like
am.
what Mises is going to do to the Libertarian Party.
Heyo.
The next Star Arc will be.
Yeah, it'll be good. That we need to get every videographer, every artist that we have. We need to get them immediately, like on Sarwark's.
I am
face.
counting on all my
So we
Florida
get every
friends.
video, every picture, every
I am
portrait,
counting
every
on all
pop
my
art, every T-shirt, every bumper sticker, all of it of Nick
And-
Sarwark crying. Yes.
To do that, ladies and gentlemen, we need your help. I know you're going to have to dig deep. You guys have been giving a lot of money, been doing a lot of things, but lpmc.us/Reno Reset. We need more money for the
Yes.
money bomb. Every dollar counts. The more money that you guys can help us, or you can donate to help us get people to Reno and get individuals Reno, means the more memes you're going to see, the more videos of Sarwalk crying you're going to see, the more cool T-shirts that are going to be out there. The more that you
I
can help
didn't
us,
even
the more
think
we're
of
going to
that.
help you to make sure that your Reno Reset, whether you're in Reno to be there for the reset, or you happen to be home watching it live on TV, you're going to feel great because you know you contributed to making that reset happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, lpmc.us/Reno Reset. That's RENO RESET. Go there. Give your money. We need it. Dig in the couch. I know you got some change hidden in there.
Dude.
And I am going
Josh
to
is
clip
so
this out.
is so bad. Look at him, dude. Do we have that recorded? That needs to be a clip.
I am
Put
going to
some,
clip this out and
I
put
want
it on
fireworks
Twitter.
behind it. We need to put some fireworks. We need.
If I get money
like-
out of the couch, won't inflation?
I need your money. Like,
Yes.
Your money's about
Yes.
to be
Send me
useless
your
anyway,
money.
so give
Yes.
it to the
Your
Libertarian Party
We need to
Mises
get delegates
Caucus.
to Reno. We need to make sure that Tom Woods' breakfast event is sold out and popping. We need to make sure that
Dude, I
every
wish I was
stupid
there,
fucking
man.
thing that you've seen over the last 2, 4, 6, 10 years like I've been here with the LP. If you're tired of all this shit, if you want to see all of this get swept away, now's your opportunity. Once again, lpmc.us/Reno Reset. That's what it's all about. Reno Reset, baby. So hit that /Reno Reset. Throw us the money. We're going to go. We're going to make Nick Sarwark sit in the corner. We're going to tell Joe Bishop henchmen, go home back to D.C. with the rest of those Beltway libertarians. We're going to tell all of the weirdos from New Hampshire and Pennsylvania and Delaware that tried cooing the party, you're not welcome to do all this dumb shit. Bad faith actors get no seats at the table.
Amen.
Agreed.
Yes.
Amen. Preach.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a
preach.
swamp telethon. Friday
Hell
night,
yeah.
come join us in the swamp, Swamp Creatures Podcast. We're going to be doing a live telethon. I'm just going to do this all fucking night. Fuck our guests. Fuck the rest of the Swamp Boys. I'm just going to be here alone doing this shit for 2 hours straight. Until we make another 40 grand, I ain't going to stop. We could do this all night. I can go to midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., my birthday, your birthday, Jesus' birthday. It don't fucking matter.
It don't matter.
We're doing it live. See, look at all the chats. Everybody's hyped up now. They're going to donate $2.
No.
And that's $2 more dollars we didn't have.
I found
So
your job.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I am counting on all the Florida people, including yourself, to be sending me footage from Reno so that I can be editing in real time. Because I want to. And not just funny shit, but just fun stuff.
lpmc.us/Reno Reset. We need delegates so that Leighton can get his videos so he can clip them up in real time, put them on the internet, and let everybody have a great time with this. You don't have to go to Reno yourself. You don't have to drop like $3 grand to be there. Like, we know you don't got no job. We know your paper's fucked up, boo-boo. We know you messed up the re-up now, so you can't even do that. Like, we get it. It's understandable. So you're sitting at home and you're watching on C-SPAN or the YouTube live stream, or, you know, we got it streaming through the Mises Caucus because we're awesome and we do that type of shit. I want you to know that even though you're not there, you're there. You're there in spirit. You're there financially. You help whoever you're looking at that has a Mises Caucus shirt or a pin or a badge or a little fucking lanyard pin. That was you who did that. They're there because of you. You're the real hero in all of this. Where you're sitting on the couch, eating your cheese doodles, drinking your Yingling, meaning like, man, I wish I could see Sarwalk and Walden Titties and Will McVeigh and all these other losers cry live and in person. I just want you to know you did that. You brought those tears to their eyes, and they're delicious. And when I sit there and I Eric Cartman their tears right off their face, like, you're going to know that that was you who did that. That's for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Amen. What
Absolutely.
he said. What he said.
Amen. I am fully on board with the Reno being a fucking blast. I hope it's as great as
Reno
and I'm gonna
Reset,
be
baby.
watching all the
Hashtag.
video clips and everything that comes up after the fact. Love Josh Rance. All right, everybody.
Okay.
Well, with that, we will go ahead and close it out. This has been Outlawed Thoughts. Thanks for hanging out with me for one of the longer shows that we've done. And take it easy. Love y'all.